What's up, y'all, and welcome back.
Go ratchet in this bitch. Oh no, no cabin in this bitch. Go white be rabbit in this bitch. My gun go rabbit in this bitch. I've been on 6 weeks shooting like no whiskey. Feel like I'm maverick in this bitch. 40 don't tip me. Show me that you can keep far from average in this.
Loki Season 1 Episode 1. We're officially back, y'all. We're back with some Loki reactions for you this time, as promised. I told y'all I was going to do some reactions to Loki, and hopefully we can get this uploaded because, you know, YouTube be very touchy. YouTube and Disney be very, it's not even YouTube themselves, it's actually Disney that's very touchy with when it comes to like these type of shows. So hopefully we don't get like a claim out of this. I would really like to show y'all my reaction to this show, and I do hope you guys enjoy it. We're back with Loki here, and I do remember from like Endgame, Loki got his hands on the Tesseract, however you say it, you know, the little blue cube, and went back into time, and which ended up in wherever he's going in this episode. So I'm kind of curious to seeing what they do with this Loki and what version of Loki that he'll be playing, because this Loki is from the first Avengers, which means if you like on the timeline, if you think about the timeline, because I'm thinking like DC style, like Flash style. If this is the Loki from the first movie, anything that happened afterwards, like, I mean, this is not Endgame Loki, let me just say it like that. This is not Endgame Loki, this is not Infinity War Loki. Was he in Ultron? He was probably wandering somewhere, and no, he wasn't in Age of Ultron. But yeah, any of the Thor movies that followed after the Avengers, the first Avengers, and I don't mean Captain America, I mean, like, you know, the first Avengers movie, anything that followed after that movie, from Thor and like from the Avengers, other movies, though, that's not that Loki, that's this Loki. It's hard to explain, but yeah, so I'm hoping to see like that somehow he gets like memories of what happened like later on in the timeline, or if he's gonna just go off what he knows from that timeline from the first movie. I'm just curious to see which version of Loki he'll play, because as I remember in Infinity War, Loki did get RIP'd, or at least that's what he wants us to think. So I'm curious to see what they do with this Loki. It's very 50-50 for me right now. I don't know which version of Loki he's going to be playing, but I know I just feel like it's going to be the first movie's Loki and not the Infinity War Loki. So yeah, that being said, let's get into this.
On my way down to coordinate search and rescue.
On my way down to coordinate search and rescue.
I mean, honestly, how do you keep your food shut up?
They're actually giving us a little glimpse of the first movie. That's what I was looking for. And there you go. The first Avengers Loki. So surely he has no memories of what happened after those events when he attacked New York. This is the first Loki, not the Loki that follows after that. This gives me Thor Ragnarok vibes.
I am Loki of Asgard, and I am burdened with glorious purpose.
Hindi. Hindi achtertussen.
This is actually your last chance. Now get out of my way.
Well, that's one way to start the show. Oh, wow.
Moving at 1/16th speed, but feeling all that pain in real time.
They smacked him into slow motion. Interesting. So if we had people like this who could reset the timeline, why didn't they just do this in Infinity War? Like with Thanos doing what he did. Or did Thanos snap them away too?
Your little job, how do you like that?
Please sign to verify this is everything you've ever said.
What?
Sign this too.
Oh, this is absurd.
And this.
Oh wow.
Do a lot of people not know if they're robots?
Thank you for your confirmation. Please move through.
Why did I feel like that was a One Division Easter egg right there or something?
What if I was a robot and I didn't know it?
The machine would melt you from the inside out. Please move along, sir.
Yeah, surely that's gotta be like a One Division nod.
You're raising your voice with me, Buckethead.
Thanks for visiting the TVA. Don't hesitate to let us know how we're doing.
There's gonna be a whole bunch of time traveling, I've got a feeling. Seems like a very interesting show already. And with Loki going back in time with the Tesseract, does that mean all of the events that follow afterwards did not happen that involved Loki, you know? And how does Thanos do what he do if he doesn't have the Tesseract? I hope they do explain this in the show.
Consistent with the others. Positioning of the bodies indicates they didn't know what the hell hit them.
Wow.
And reset charge is gone.
Tu sais qui a fait ça?
It was the devil.
Sir, there's something you want to see.
And then they reset time just like that. We could have used these guys in Endgame. Because they're literally resetting the time to start from scratch, you know?
I suspect the Avengers. You see, I only came into possession of the Tesseract because they traveled through time. No doubt in a last-ditch effort to stave off my ascent to God King.
That's quite an accusation.
Oh, believe me, you can smell the cologne of two Tony Starks.
How do you plead?
Guilty of this.
Yeah, nah, they got you suppressed.
What's going on?
Hang on, everyone quiet.
Hey.
If you're thinking what I think you're thinking, it's a bad idea.
Okay, I'm just chasing a hunch.
Anything goes sideways, it's on you.
Okay. I feel like I'm always looking up to you. I like it. It's appropriate. Slap it on a t-shirt.
If the TVA truly oversees all of time, how have I never heard of you until now?
Because you never needed to. You've always lived within your set path.
I live within whatever path I choose.
Sure you do. Okay, come have a seat.
Anything else?
It's funny, for someone born to rule, you sure do lose a lot. Might even say it's in your nature.
You know, things didn't turn out so well for the last person who said that to me.
Oh yeah, Phil Coulson. Didn't the Avengers come together to literally avenge him by defeating you?
Little solace to a dead man.
I like how they're showing him clips from everything that happened in the first Avengers.
Proud.
Please don't make this worse.
What is this? This is nonsense. More tricks. It's never even happened.
Not to you. Not yet.
They're doing it right. They're doing the story right.
TVA doesn't just know your whole past. We know your whole life, how it's all meant to be. And then the Dark Elves attack the palace, and you think you send them to Thor.
You might want to take the stairs to the left.
But instead, you send them...
I'll never tell.
You weren't born to be king, Loki. You were born to cause pain and suffering and death.
Which he
That's how
kind
it
of does,
is,
yeah.
That's how it was. That's how it will be. All so that others can achieve their best versions of themselves.
At least it's good to see that we are dealing with the first Loki and not the one that follows after the first Avengers movie.
Take the opposite. You think everyone should be reset. I'm getting good stuff in there.
We just lost another unit.
Okay, Loki, I think we can finish up tomorrow and just pick it up.
He is the master of escape. Oh, see, I knew Loki would. He's always up to something.
Oh, what's your name? Casey. Give me the Tesseract or I'll gut you like a fish, Casey.
What's a fish?
How do you not know what a fish is?
I lived my entire life behind a desk.
But what difference does it make?
I want to know exactly what I'm being threatened with before I comply.
Death, Casey. Violent, painful death.
What?
Infinity Stones?
Just lying around like that?
How do you have these?
Oh, we actually got a lot of those. Some of the guys use them as paperweights.
Is this the greatest power in the universe?
See, I knew he was going to use that to his advantage. That's the thing about Loki. When he understands something, he catches it on quick. Uses it to his advantage. That's who killed him.
You should choose your words more carefully.
And now he's pretty much all caught up to what happened to him. They told the story right. They updated that Loki of what happens to him afterwards. Oh, I like that. That's a good play on this. Oh, nice. There we go.
Fugitive variant's been killing our Minutemen.
And you need the God of Mischief to help you stop them.
That's right.
Why me?
The variant we're hunting is you.
Oh, wow.
I beg your pardon? Check it out.
So that was Loki season 1. Well, it is only this one season. That was Loki season 1, episode 1. And man, a lot went down in this as well. I always say this for every show, like a lot does go down, as always. But that being said, with the whole time traveling situation, Loki going back in time with the Tesseract at hand, does that mean, like, I know I said this during the reaction as well, like, does that mean that none of the events occurred then? Because, like, he took the Tesseract with him back in time, which means Thanos doesn't get his hands on the Tesseract, which means he doesn't have the full power of the gauntlet, which means he can't do the snap and erase half of humanity. Or am I wrong? Because wouldn't that already sort of mess up the timeline because he went back in time with the Tesseract at hand? because they say he's a variant, but like, because they were about to take him to jail, because like, well, to Asgard's jail when he was in the first one. But with him not being there, none of that could happen. Thor's probably somewhere out there looking for Loki, as well as the Avengers. Probably, I mean, Shield. They're probably trying to find Loki's location as well, because he doesn't exist in that timeline after he vanished with the Tesseract, which means none of the other stuff could have occurred, like the whole Loki versus what's his sister's name. Like, he wasn't there. He wasn't present for those things. He wasn't present for a lot of stuff that went down. Or I'd like to see how they explain this, how they would fix that timeline, because with Loki being where he is, that already disturbs the flow of time. So I'm very curious to see what they do in episode 2, because this has got a. I like how they told the story, and they explained to him what he did afterwards, like the aftermath of what happens when they took him to Asgard, and what he did to like escape, and how he got his mother killed. And like, he sees what happens to Odin in the end. He sees that his brother does show him love in the end. And yeah, like, he does see his death as well. And I know he's gonna do everything in his power not to end up in the grasp of Thanos again. And the only other way they can fix the flow of time is to put Loki back into his original position in the Avengers first one, where he never gets his hand on the Tesseract if they like reset him and all that. He goes on, does the little Asgard thing, gets his mother killed, ends up meeting, is it Hera? I can't remember. No, it's not Hera, is it? Ends up meeting his sister and all that, and obviously, yeah, we see the whole Ragnarok thing going down, and Asgard getting torn apart, and he ends up on the ship, and you know, meets Thanos and dead with him. So yeah, hopefully they do all that, because that's the normal flow of time. So if Loki somehow figures out a way to like alter that, then that sort of already like spurs off a different timeline from the sacred timeline, if that makes any sense. Because I remember in Doctor Strange, what's the lady's name, the bald-headed lady, she did warn Bruce Banner like about these alternate timelines, like if you disturb one part of the timeline, it does these different timelines are basically born from the original one, the current, which is probably the sacred timeline that they're trying to protect at the moment. But that's my other question. Where were these guys when all this was going down? With Thanos doing what he did and all that, and the Avengers jumping back in time, grabbing his Infinity Stones left and right, and then going back in time, putting the stones back to where they belong, and somehow didn't disturb the timeline. How are the Avengers? I agree with Loki. How are the Avengers the good guys for doing what they did? Because they pretty much messed up the timeline anyway. Because with Cap going back, he could have prevented the Infinity War from happening, which then leads to Endgame, which then leads to Tony Stark's death. Spoilers to anyone who hasn't seen the movie, but like, which then leads to that. So yeah, there's a lot of loopholes and everything like still that needs to be answered. Hopefully they do somehow fix it within this Loki show. And yeah, like I said as well, Loki, when he's like trapped in a system that he can't escape from, he figures out a way to escape out that system. He, like, the way they were abusing that little loop thing on him, and the way they were just like messing with his head a little bit, he's like Michael Scofield basically, in a way. Like, he figures out his way out of a tight situation. And what do you know, now he's got the collar off of him. He looped that lady like so many times, but now we find out that the bad guy of this show is Loki himself. So they're basically doing a Hannibal with Loki right now. Like, Loki has to think, what would he do in order to do this? You know, it's like a good version of Loki versus a bad version of Loki, which is both the gods of mischief. But our Loki has got to figure out what evil Loki would do in order to accomplish his mission. And that's what, I guess that's why what's his name was trying to understand. I didn't catch the Owen Wilson's character's name, but I guess that is what he was trying to understand from Loki, why he does these things, so that they can figure out where he will strike next. So I'm interested to seeing what they do with Loki in episode 2. Yeah, they just got the stones lying around as well, the Infinity Stones, like left and right. So does that mean there's more Tesseracts out there? I can never say the name of that cube, the Tesseract. Yeah, does that mean there's more Tesseracts out there, and more Time Stones, and more Mind Stones, and what were the other stones? I forgot the other stones' names now, but does that mean there's just more of them lying out there, or is there just a certain particular bunch of stones within the universe, in the timeline that Loki came from? Anyway, that being said, I hope you guys did enjoy this reaction. Episode 2 will be coming soon, so stay tuned for that. Expanse will also be available this week, so hope you guys enjoyed this reaction, and we are out. Bash.